Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and once again, I am joined by Angel.
Hi, welcome back.
Today, we're covering week 3 of Port Charles Time in a Bottle. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get right into it. So we pick up with Frank and Karen still dancing, but we don't hear Time in a Bottle.
We hear Sarah smile.
Frank notices he has a new message on Nellie, and Karen accidentally cuts the power before he can read it. She's like
I
jealous of
think
this.
she step on the
The
like
power.
the power, yes, power strip, yeah.
She becomes frustrated that he seems more interested in the computer than her. That's why I say accidentally.
Quote unquote.
Um, Everyone is helping out with getting the bike shop up to code so it can open, and it happens to be St. Patrick's Day. I miss when soaps would like acknowledge every holiday
Yeah.
because it made me think about like the Brady Pub. They would always do something special
hmm
for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I mean Ryan's Hope, especially, which was the show that came on like before Port Charles. Not in time slot, but I mean like in time.
Yeah,
Uh, they would always because they were an Irish Catholic family, just like the Scanlons were. They would always acknowledge St. Patrick's Day.
yeah, that makes sense. Plus that didn't that show or the Mean Family didn't it revolve around a bar?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and that was like a spin-off of GH, right? Like a
No, it wasn't.
oh,
So it wasn't. No, it was like just a regular, just like a regular standalone show. But GH was incorporated on it later. Like Ava's mom was on there. Ava Jerome's mom is Eileen Kristen's character Delia Reed.
oh right, right,
Ryan.
right. Yeah, that's what made
Courage.
me think.
Yeah.
I did know that. That's what made me think that they were connected somehow.
They were connected, but that was like after the fact.
Okay. It was a post-mortem spin-off.
hmm
um, Livy is still keeping Jack at a distance because she's in her feelings about him and Lucy and her opinions about him. Joe gets a call from Alan Quartermain, shout out to GH,
Shout out.
that he's been chosen to speak at a conference on HIV in London. He invites Gabby with him, and she shouts she loves him, and Jack and Livy watch and wish that they had that.
I thought it was interesting that he said Alan Quartermain, and then Gabby said, "Yeah, I know Alan Quartermain," and then I said along with her, like, we all know Alan Quartermain.
Eve is on duty at the hospital, and a woman is brought in after a suicide attempt. Her husband says he asked for a divorce, and this is what happened. Eve talks with him and says that he's been unhappy for years. He says that he should have done asked for the divorce years ago, but as they went by, it became harder and harder to get out. And Eve starts to think that this similar scenario might happen with Ian and Ariana.
hmm
Um, Ariana is expressing her feelings of love and obsession towards Ian. He doesn't reciprocate. He makes it very clear that he does not feel the same way. And
Yeah.
she's like, stop playing. She's like, you know you love me.
She was really like, and I feel bad because like she did a really good job last week, but she was really starting to get on her nerves with that this week.
So I immediately was like, oh, hate you again. But then
It's her again.
I was kind of like appreciating the actress. She was playing
hmm
the obsession angle really well. Her
Yeah,
facial
she was.
and the look in her eye was very believable. So
Yeah, it was the character more that was getting on my nerves with that than the actress. The actress has definitely improved.
yeah. Um, she she begs him not to make her leave because she's also afraid that for her life because of her family, but
hmm
because of how she feels for him. The inspector comes to the bike shop, and Jamal and Allison have brought the place up to code and can open for business.
Yay! I was cheering along with them.
Jack and Jamal the next day are setting up for the bike shop to officially open. And Allison's grandmother stops by to invite them over for Jamal and Allison over for a dinner party she's throwing because an old friend named Chad is back in town. Now, I'm wondering if this is a real character that we're going to see or if this is just...
I'm thinking it's a throwaway character because, I mean, I notice we don't see a lot of, like, we see the grandmom and we see Allison, but we don't see, like, Allison's grandmother's house or anything like that. Or
okay.
I don't even remember seeing it. And I didn't watch GH, but I know she was the friends with Lila.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if, like, I think she was just a side character. I know, but then this made me think of Luke Kerr a lot from Daytime Confidential. He used to love the Barringtons, and he made it seem like that they were bigger characters than what they were. But I don't think that they were.
Did he say from GH though, or was he a Port Charles fan?
So, but I think they were in GH for a little bit. But I know that they're in Port Charles a lot more. Because I know that she was friends with Lila.
Yeah, I know she's like a character that goes back to even the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Especially since I know he didn't start watching till like the late 90s.
Yeah.
But maybe they were featured before Port Charles started heavily.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or maybe they were featured before Allison was brought on.
Yeah, that's probably what it is too.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, Kevin pays Livy a visit, and they discuss her being angry at Lucy and Jack for what almost happened between them. Jack is outside of the bike shop working on a bike when a woman named Sam comes by and flirts with him. Livy calls Jack, but she hangs up when he answers. The actress that's playing Sam, were you watching Days back during like the last Blast days?
Yeah, she did look familiar. Who did she play?
Well, she's not. She reminds me of an actress, the one that played Cynthia. Do you remember Cynthia? The one that was trying to seduce Philip away from Chloe.
Oh yeah.
She made like that fake sex tape, but like nothing actually happened between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's who she reminds me of. The actress that played Cynthia.
Yeah, her hairstyle. I like the blonde with the. That's like such a early 2000s style, like the blonde with like the brown hair, like dual colors hair.
The chunky highlights.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lost. Where am I? Oh, Eve tries to explain to Ian about the married couple that were staying together because the husband was afraid the wife would hurt herself. Ian tries to assure her it won't happen like that with him and Ariana. Ariana is picking up food at the recovery room, the bar, not the
bar, the hospital.
And has a chat with Lucy about how she feels about Ian and their marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Allison arrives at the bike shop mid-discussion with Jamal and her grandmother and refuses to attend this dinner party for Chad. Jack and Sam go for a test ride on the motorcycle he was working on, and Livy sees them and wonders if Jack is dating her now. Allison says it's because she pushed him away so much. What did she expect?
Yeah.
Ariana catches Ian and Eve passionately making out at the hospital. When Ian leaves, she's clearly upset, and Eve wonders what's wrong. She tells Eve she wants her to stay away from her husband. Now, for somebody who's never seen this show, the promos for this week are very deceiving because it makes it look like Eve is the other woman and she's like the one stealing this man from his wife.
Yeah.
I guess for New Year's, it's to make you feel for Ariana, but we know better.
We know better. We know a lot better.
So Ariana and Eve have a confrontation, and Ariana is showing her crazy obsessive side. She tells Eve she's a beautiful woman and she can have any man she wants, but Ian is her husband and she loves him. And Eve is like trying to be logical, and she's like, but he doesn't love you. He's explained that to you. And she's like, no, he kissed me. We're in love.
Isn't that what? Was there a part where she like moves in to kiss him, and then he's like, nah, no.
Yeah.
Like, no, wait, no, not happening.
Ian chats with Lucy at the recovery room, the bar, not the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him she knows Eve well, and if he waits too long, she might move on to the next person. Ian says he knows Eve as well as anybody and has for multiple lives. Now this like perks Lucy up because she's into like universe and tarot cards and
yeah.
She wants to know how he knows that, and he tells her what happened on the island. Kevin stops by the bike shop, and only Allison is there.
Mm-hmm.
He tells her how proud of her he is, and that he's happy that her and Livy are friends. He also says he used to ride motorcycles back in his day.
Probably before he became the Port Charles.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm still watching like Summer 94, and I think he may have been obsessed with Felicia a little bit. So it's weird to see him acting like that and then see him on Port Charles.
This was after Ryan, right?
Yeah, because I'm watching the BJ's, like the beginning of the BJ Hart storyline.
Oh.
And so nothing's happened to BJ yet, but Felicia thinks that Maxie's dying, and she's like asking him, how do you deal with death? And he like talked about like his love for his brother, and I'm like, for me, I'm thinking Ryan's the crazy one, but from what I've read, Kevin was a little bit crazy, and Ryan was the sane one back then. And then they flipped it.
They flipped it, yep.
So it's just weird just like to see them acting different. Karen thinks Frank should get rid of Nellie. It was a nice thing that brought them together, but it's all he talks about now, and it could be the thing that tears them apart. We see hands typing that they know they know they said they were afraid, but they need someone to talk to and need a friend. Will you be my friend? I don't think
that what Time in the Bottle plays?
Maybe it might have.
Yeah, because this is after it plays like during Kevin and Lucy.
Yeah, I remember playing at the bar, like during the bar scenes. It kind of played, yeah, and then it stopped and another song came on.
Yeah.
And I wondered if they're just gonna like put it in, because I was like, wow, they really had a lot of money because they're playing that song more than once. Kevin comes to the recovery room, and Lucy tells him she wants to visit past lives on the island together.
that was oh my god. When Kevin made that little purring noise, I laughed. They're like, purr.
He even says like, you could be a pirate and I could be your wench or something.
Your wench. You could be my slave.
He pulls her outside to show her that he has a motorcycle now, and they go for a ride.
Look, I honestly thought that Lucy was gonna be like, this is what do they call it? A midlife crisis you're having, but no, she goes right along with it. I love it. usually other TV shows will be like, you got a motorcycle, this is a midlife crisis, and you should get help for it. But nope, she goes along with it.
At the hospital, Ian comes upon Ariana and Eve's conversation. I think this may have been when she went to go kiss him, especially in front of Eve. And he was like, no. Um, Ariana asks if he can take her home, and he does. Eve talks to herself and says she's the new Eve. She has to be patient. She has to be understanding. And she's like, the old Eve would have ran out there and like put a stop to this.
Yep.
But then she breaks and she makes a phone call and she's like, I want a party. The old Eve is back in town.
I kind of figured it was who it was when she called that person because because I was like, well, who else could it be? Like, come
Right.
on, like,
I kind of figured that too, so I wasn't really shocked.
yeah.
Ian brings Ariana home and he's being really frosty towards her at the apartment. They get a visit from the INS agent questioning Ian's trip to the island not being for professional purposes and having spent the entire time with Eve. Jamal gets a visit at the bike shop from an old associate named Zach. Is this Zach? Because I remember there was a Travis, but he's dead, right? Or gone?
No, Cedric's dead.
Oh, Cedric's dead.
Cedric's dead, yeah.
Okay. Sam, the girl that's flirting with Jack, is a part of Zach's crew. Allison and Livy discuss Jack and Sam and how she's pushing him away.
I like that. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I like that she calls her leather slut. And then she calls her that multiple times.
She says they discuss her pushing him away because she can't seem to let herself forgive and be with him.
Mm-hmm.
Ian explains to the agent that he got a call to come help a sick boy on the island, but Eve had been there and cured him by the time he got there, and then Eve got sick herself. The agent then moves on to more questions about their marriage, and Ian describes what he and Ariana do for fun and shows a scrapbook of photos, which we saw last week, her taking the Polaroids.
Mm-hmm.
The Ariana seems smitten that Ian knows so much about her, and the agent seems satisfied with the answers at the moment, so she leaves. When Ian explains he uses flashcards to memorize details about Ariana, she has like a meltdown. She's like,
yeah,
you know what my eyes look like?
I forgot what he called. He called them something else. Like, it wasn't flashcards. It was like
he used these to study in medical school.
Yeah, but he called them something else and I didn't catch what it was, and I watched this episode twice. I was like, wait a minute, what is he calling them? Because it's not flashcards. It's like he said something else, but it sounds like it's like a dialect of like. Yeah, because if you notice he says holiday instead of vacation.
I did notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he called them like something else. Like what? What are they called? Like,
yeah.
I guess he called them cards, but I guess with his accent, I couldn't really understand it.
Yeah, I didn't notice that he called them something different.
Yeah, he definitely called the card something different. Like, but I forgot what it was. And but I actually wanted to comment on those cards. Like part of me was just like, oh, okay, because he needs to be like invested in like quote unquote the con of the marriage. He has to memorize that. He has to memorize everything about her on cards. But I personally, if that were to happen to me, I'd personally be like, I think you're more interested in me than you seem to be, because are writing down all these facts about me, and it's kind of obsessive to me.
But she goes the other way with it.
She goes the other way, yeah.
She's so devastated, and she realized she's been a fool thinking he could care about her. Eve and Chris hang out and get drunk at his apartment. And Chris questions why they never got together. And I was like, I questioned that too. That's why I asked if they had ever gotten together. He proposes a friends with benefits situation. And the more Eve drinks, the more she comes around to it, and she agrees. And I was like, all right, I'm into it.
This is very modern of them.
Right. I feel like this is like 10 years before that was like more publicly acceptable.
Yeah.
Frank sees a message on Nellie he missed while he was out. Karen comes by and he tries to convince her someone is trying to communicate with him through Nellie. And she's done. She's like, I'm done with this computer.
Yeah.
And she pushes him to dump it. So he finally agrees, but he gets called to work. So Karen decides to type a message on Nellie and waits for a reply. We see that Karen has a heart necklace, and the woman that has been typing on the other side has the same necklace. Eve and Chris are about to seal the deal when Livy comes knocking on the door. Chris tries to tell her he's conferencing with a patient, Mrs. Martini, because that's what they've been drinking, dirty martini. But also, HIPAA laws, you're not really supposed to like give information like that about your patients.
Yeah, exactly.
Livy insists she can wait and storms into his apartment. Eve is out of sight, so we think maybe she's in the bathroom or hiding in the bedroom. Chris says he'll meet up with Livy at the recovery room, the bar, not the hospital. She leaves, and he finds Eve passed out on the floor. So there goes that.
There we go. Yep.
So, okay, now these scenes I thought were hysterical. Lucy sees Jack with Sam, and when Jack goes to get them drinks, Lucy sits down and has a chat with Sam. She questions if she knows who Sonny Corinthos is.
And back then, if you're questioning who Sonny Corinthos was, you haven't been at Port Charles long enough.
So, because they came on the motorcycle, well, they went for a motorcycle ride and came back. Evan's in like his leather jacket, and she says that he's like a hitman for Sonny. And that he's Livy's father, and that he would kill her and Jack if he found out that Jack hurt his little girl. Ariana finally gets the picture that Ian doesn't love her, and I think she needs some time to process it. Chris takes Eve back home, and she's starting to sober up. This happened very quickly. Because he told Livy, give me an hour, hour and a half, I guess, to do what he had to do with Eve and then meet her. But now she's awake, she's sobering up. Like, that doesn't happen that quickly.
No, it doesn't.
Especially the amount they were drinking. Does he throw her in the shower? Or she tries to take a shower after?
No, she takes a shower, like, before Ian comes over, but she still had her clothes on.
She was fully clothed, and it was cold, and I don't know why she blamed Chris for that. I was like, I feel like I missed something.
Yeah, I missed something too. I definitely have missed something.
Eve is thankful that they didn't sleep together, so I guess that was a drunken decision. Ian comes to see Eve to tell them they can be together forever. And then we get to see Ben, and I was actually happy to see Ben. Get your sister.
I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh man, this again. I mean, okay, maybe this means this is almost the end of this Ariana situation if Ben's coming back. So
something has to happen. Ben has to die, or he just, I don't know. Something has to happen.
Yeah.
So that she doesn't feel like she's in danger anymore. But he reads an article that Joe will be speaking at that HIV conference. And at first I was like, why, whatever country he's supposed to be in, why is he getting US news about this? Like, why is that international news? But because it's in London, then I was like, okay, maybe that's why he saw it, because it's in Europe.
I don't even know where they're from. I don't even know where the Shapurs are from, so that would do honor killings. So I I I guess because they're a mob family, or not a mob family, like a renowned family where they are, from what I understand, they he probably gets somebody to like kind of follow Ariana, follow poor Charles, the happenings of poor Charles. I guess that's probably. I guess that's where my mind is going with that.
But then he realizes, because I forgot that that's how he left, because he thought he killed Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So he realizes Joe is not dead, and that they tricked him.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I don't think it's not that I was happy to see Ben. It was just nice to see a familiar face, because now we've been in it for a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I know him.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm hoping this leads to something of a conclusion of sorts with the Ariana story, especially with her kind of coming to terms with the fact that Ian does not love her the way that she
Yep.
thinks she loves him. And I was trying to be a little more sympathetic to Ariana. This is all a trauma response to what happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
She feels safe with Ian. He's protected her. He's
Mm-hmm.
gone beyond the call of duty to keep her safe. So of course she would latch on to this person because he's the one person that makes her feel safe.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, the outcome is obsessive and confusing that for love.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully she's lucid now and she is being logical. I'm really intrigued by this person on the other side of Nellie with the same heart necklace as Karen. I still think that it's going to be the actress that plays Karen playing her, just a different character, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you know, but maybe a relative, or I don't know, because it's supposed to be the 60s, right? Or is it the 70s?
60s or 70s. I I remember, if I remember correctly, it was the 60s or 70s.
So that wasn't that far from where we are watching, like
Mm-mm. Like
25, 30 years.
yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't. Um, do you think Lucy and Kevin are going to go to the island to get the drugs?
I hope so. I hope so. That would be amazing if they did.
I equate that to them like doing mushrooms together, just
Mhm.
go on a trip.
Oh my gosh! Remember the Bold and the Beautiful when Brooke and Thomas did no, it wasn't mushrooms, it was berries, island berries, and then they had like this whole CGI like trip,
No,
and then people thought that they slept together, but they didn't. It was just them frolicking around half naked.
which Thomas was it?
I think it was it Pearson Fode or was it Adam Gregory? I know it was one of them.
I was watching regularly during Pearson, and I don't remember that.
Then it might have been Adam Gregory.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it may be on YouTube because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know that they kind of do like split. They kind of like split it off. Like we'll air like '90s Bold and Beautiful, and then we'll air like 2000s Bold and Beautiful, like 2010s Bold and Beautiful. So I think that's it. It could be on YouTube, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'll have to Google. I'm sure somebody clipped it.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. That's what it reminded me of. Like that's what a concept of like Lucy and Kevin going to on the island reminds me of. Like if they like the whole Brooke and Thomas thing.
The only other like drug or accidental drug taking I've seen has been that infamous Days brownie incident with JJ.
Yes!
Brownie.
And of course, being the zone of all my children.
Or was it donuts? Was it Alice's donut
It
recipe?
was donuts. It was Alice's donuts. It was laced with weed and.
It was just funny to see Julie being high.
Yes. And then of course there was Libido Zone on All My Children, where like David spiked the punch, and then everybody went crazy on the yacht. Bianca threw Laura over the because she had a crush on her, and Erica was singing on top of a piano.
uh,
Oh, Libido Zone. I need to watch those episodes if they're on YouTube.
yeah, All My Children seems to be like the one soap that's hard to find like full stories or episodes.
Yeah, I watched the final episode. The final episode of the ABC final episodes of All My Children was on there, and oh my god,
I've watched the clip of Sarah Michelle Gellar coming back for the last week.
yes, I remember that.
And she's like, America Kane's daughter, America Kane's daughter. And she's like, I see vampires. And they're like, you see vampires? She's like, I saw them before they were trendy. That's my favorite line. But do you have anything else to add about this week of Port Charles?
Oh, right. Okay, so when Victor and Lucy were talking, she was like, oh yeah, you can see me and Mary anytime, except, I have this on Tuesday and that on Friday. One, when he said on Wednesday, perked my interest, because I used to be a Toastmaster, so he's like, I got Toastmasters on Wednesday. That's why I had Toastmasters. So Victor's a public speaker, a burgeoning public speaker now, so... And yes, a lot of older people do go to Toastmasters, but they're trying to attract a younger crowd now because those people age out. So,
one thing that I forgot to mention that did make me laugh during that whole Sonny Corinthos conversation, she was like, when she was saying they call him Doc, and she was like, "Who are you?" No, she said they call him Doc. And Lucy called her sleazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and then she was like, I mean, Sammy or whatever your name is. And then Jack and Livy end up bumping into each other at the bar. Sam is like, does she know her father's in the mob? And he's like, I'll explain everything.
I'll explain everything later. And then there was a cute little moment between Chris and Eve where she had the olive and there's a little thing on the olive and she kind of bumped him on the head with it, poked him on the head with it.
I enjoyed their friendship. Yeah, I like their friendship. I also like what's it? Lucy and Jack's dynamic as friends. It's nice to see platonic relationships.
Yeah, and Lucy and Ian too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just miss soap opera friendships. They used to be especially on other shows like Guiding Light had them too, that I really love. I just miss soap opera friendships because it makes it more natural and more. It just makes, because you run to that person, you're just like, oh my gosh, they are friends.
I had the thought that Karen is the friend that Eve goes to when she needs to vent and have a logical response, and Chris is the friend she goes to when she needs to be messy and make bad decisions. Both important.
And then Gabrielle is the work friend, so because they're kind of friends too. Gabrielle's just the work friend, so
yeah,
the work bestie.
I liked Eve struggling with being responsible and patient, and she's like, no, I want to be messy.
I want to be messy.
But all right, if you don't have anything else, thank you for joining us for another week of Port Charles, Time in the Bottle. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more movement on who's behind Nellie on the other side next week.
Yeah.
And maybe some closure to Ariana and Ben.
Mm-hmm.
We also got to see a little bit of movement with the bike shop with Zach coming around, because I feel like that becomes a bigger story and it wraps up at the beginning of Tainted Love.
Mm-hmm.
So things are moving along. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night, day, whenever you're watching this. Bye.
Bye.